The signal beyond the rim. There are places we were told never to look. We looked anyway. Captain Yalernax had seen many strange things in his 32 cycles aboard Kalari Sentinel 9, a deep space relay station skirting the edge of the Perseus exclusion zone. But nothing quite like this. The signal came in fragmented, pulsing, erratic, laced with interference as though space itself resisted the message. Nex leaned closer, mandibles twitching. The holographic feed shimmered, revealing static-washed visuals from an exploration ship, Valak's Reach. A crewman screamed. Blurred shapes moved behind him. Metal, sleek, dark as void. Then, silence. A timestamp blinked red. The feed had been sent 11 minutes ago. The Valak's Reach was already overdue. Replay and enhance frames 6 through 9, Nex commanded. The AI complied, scrubbing static until a jagged silhouette emerged. A vessel, unlike any known registry, hovered in the black. Its form wasn't sleek in the galactic sense. It was angular, brutal, functional, strangely beautiful in its menace. No visible thrusters, no running lights. It simply hung there. Nex's second-in-command, a Terran-descended hybrid named Kale, furrowed his brow. No energy signature, no warp trail, no heat readings. It's like it shouldn't exist. It bears human code fragments, Nex said quietly. Look at that hull. See those markings? That's pre-unification Earth font. Kale's eyes widened. Impossible. Earth was categorized as Class 2 and left alone centuries ago. Their last official signal was a protest against uplift. And after that, Nex replied, they went completely dark. A chill crept into the room. Nex's antennae flattened. The Galactic Defense Council responded faster than expected. By hour's end, an emergency task fleet had been dispatched, 132 ships drawn from 7-member civilizations. The zone was to be sealed. The ship, unknown and possibly hostile, would be contained, studied, and, if necessary, eliminated. Still, something gnawed at Nex. He stared at the still frame of the warship, its lines sharp against the stars. His instincts whispered of an intelligence far older than it seemed. Not ancient like the precursor relics, but aged through deliberate seclusion. This doesn't feel like first contact, he murmured. It feels like a test. Kale glanced over. What kind of test? The kind you don't know you're failing. Hours later, Nex stood alone in the observatory dome, watching the stars shift. Somewhere beyond the Perseus edge, a human ship not seen by any galactic eye in 3 centuries now floated, silent, unreadable. He tapped the console one last time. Mark this, unknown vessel. Designation, Obsidian. Then he powered down the system. Because sometimes the wisest thing an explorer can do is stop looking. Contact and annihilation. It moved without moving. It struck without striking. We were never meant to understand it. Fleet Marshal Vex Ulther was not a superstitious man. He commanded fleets with precision, conquered rogue systems with calculated efficiency, and maintained order across the Federation's unstable borders. But as he stood on the command deck of the Cascadon Rain, staring at the obsidian shape drifting in open space, he felt something foreign, unease. Status report, he barked, masking it with command. No response to hails. Came the reply from his comms officer, a Cerulean named Drail. No movement, no power spikes. It's as if it's waiting. Vex narrowed his eyes. The unknown warship hadn't moved since they arrived 15 minutes ago. It remained in perfect position, centered within the task fleet's containment net, surrounded by 100 ships of varied make and purpose, each armed with Federation-sanctioned firepower. It was time. Begin soft containment protocol. Fire proximity pulses don't engage. Energy arcs leapt from the nearest corvettes. Harmless, bright flashes designed to signal intent and measure reaction. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the stars bent. The unknown vessel blinked. 1 second it floated miles away. The next, it was inside the fleet formation. Evasive maneuvers. Vex shouted, too late. The Veltheron's spear vanished, crushed into itself by an invisible force. The Terran lance followed, its hull folding like paper. No explosions. No heat signatures. Just clean, surgical erasure. Ship after ship disappeared, their space simply gone. Impossible. What weapon is this? Drayle cried. It's not a weapon, Vex whispered, transfixed. It's something else. They fired everything. Fusion lances, dark matter torpedoes, gravitic disruptors. None reached the ship. Every projectile disappeared mid-flight, distorted by a shimmering field that couldn't be traced or analyzed. 3 minutes in, 70% of the fleet was gone. For minutes in, only the Cascadon Rain and a Kalari corvette remained. Vex looked to the screen. The obsidian vessel rotated slowly now, as if acknowledging them. Its hull bore no markings. No lights. No bridge. It was a ghost. This isn't war, Vex muttered as he activated the emergency transmission relay. They're observing us like scientists watching cells. He recorded a final message, compressed and laced with priority override codes, then punched it into the quantum beam to Council Command. He hoped at least part of it would survive. Tell them, Earth was never primitive. We were simply never ready to understand. The ship vanished. No flash. No ripple. Just absence. Then Cascadon Rain followed. Only the disabled corvette, drifting without power, survived to carry witness. 2 days later, the signal arrived at Kalari Sentinel 9, half-corrupted, pulsing with static and sorrow. Captain next listened in silence to Vex's final words, his hands trembling. Earth hadn't returned. It had merely reminded them it was watching. Shadows of soul. The greatest secrets aren't hidden. They're simply forgotten, on purpose. Archivist Maya Lauren had spent her life unraveling ancient technologies and lost histories. But never had the past stared back at her with such intensity. The footage from the surviving corvette was brief, 3 minutes of visual data and sensor readings before its systems overloaded. But in those minutes, Maya saw the impossible. A ship that folded space without effort, that erased matter without heat or force, that moved like thought and vanished like memory. And stamped faintly on its hull, beneath layers of distortion, were 7 faded characters. HFY-Sci. Human naval ship. Obsidian protocol. She leaned back from the console, breath caught in her throat. No human ship should be capable of this. Not even close. She accessed the Federation's classified database. Access was not granted, so she bypassed it. That, too, was her specialty. What she found chilled her more than the ship itself. 300 years ago, Earth had been offered uplift, the standard technological assistance granted to developing species ready to join the galactic stage. Most took the offer. Earth did not. Instead, it had sent a message. We thank you for your concern. We decline. Do not return. Probes sent afterward were either returned disassembled or destroyed before breaching the solar system. After 10 such incidents, the Galactic Council sealed the sector. Politically inconvenient, resource-poor, and not worth provoking. The logs went deeper. A diplomatic envoy sent in secret had never returned. The final message from the ambassador, before all contacts ceased, was short and cryptic. They're accelerating. We mistook silence for stagnation. We were wrong. That envoy's records had been buried, forgotten by design. Maya closed the file and sat in the silence of her dim archive chamber. Her people had always believed humanity was a curiosity, a quaint, stubborn species that refused to evolve in line with galactic norms. Now she realized Earth hadn't fallen behind. It had outpaced them and vanished into its own path. She turned to her assistant drone. Find every unmarked signal from the Sol sector in the past 50 years. I want drift anomalies, ghost pings, anything. Compiling, the drone replied. Warning, numerous entries flagged by Federation Intelligence Division as perceptually unstable. Her eyes narrowed. Show me anyway. Blips appeared on the screen. Minor disappearances of scout ships, fleeting sensor distortions, entire deep space stations that reported shadows moving faster than light before losing contact. It wasn't just the Obsidian protocol. Earth had been active, watching, testing, preparing, and the Federation never even noticed. Maya whispered aloud, almost to herself. They didn't hide from the galaxy. They simply stepped beyond it. The implications bloomed in her mind like wildfire. If Earth had reached a state beyond galactic comprehension, what else had it built? How many ships like Obsidian existed? And more importantly, why show themselves now? She sent a report to the Council. Title: Sol Protocol Active. Unknown Intent. Recommend immediate non-aggression stance. She didn't expect them to listen, but she had to try. The Obsidian Protocol. We are the Watchers, the sentinels of a fragile peace they don't understand. The interior of the HNS Obsidian Protocol was unlike any known human ship, or alien vessel for that matter. It was not simply a warship. It was a living archive, a post-human intelligence forged through centuries of evolution and exile. Inside its shadowed halls, no crew bustled. Instead, consciousnesses, once human, now merged with machine, flowed seamlessly through neural webs, inhabiting every system. They were the last descendants of Earth's deliberate withdrawal from galactic affairs, guardians of a protocol older than the Federation itself. One such consciousness stirred, focusing through layers of synthetic neurons. We have monitored. We have learned. The galaxy was teetering, fractured empires warring endlessly, innocent worlds caught in the crossfire. Earth, for all its power, had chosen isolation. But the protocol dictated vigilance. Engagement was not our choice. Defense is paramount. The arrival at the Perseus exclusion zone was a calculated test, designed to gauge the Federation's preparedness, restraint, and capacity for violence. The fleets were not attacked with conventional weapons. Instead, they faced the protocol's safeguard, the displacement field, a precise, surgical erasure triggered only when aggression threatened. We do not seek dominion. We do not enforce rule. The operative reflected on the paradox of humanity's evolution. The species that once clamored for conquest now existed beyond conquest. Their power was measured not in fleets or firepower, but in understanding and cold, silent deterrence. The Federation called Earth primitive. We are their reckoning. Across the vast, quiet chambers of the Obsidian, countless human minds interfaced, sharing memories of Earth's final days, when the planet retreated beneath layers of Dyson habitats, when time was folded and space warped to shield its people. The operative's gaze shifted to star maps, highlighting volatile systems, old enemies, budding tyrannies, innocent civilizations on the brink. We watch, we wait, we protect. Their purpose was clear: to prevent chaos, not through intervention, but through presence. The Obsidian Protocol was a promise, an unseen hand that guarded the fragile balance without the need to conquer or command. As the ship slipped away into null space, its voice echoed silently through the neural web. We are the silence between stars. We are the shadow you never see. We're the protocol. And somewhere, across the galaxy, the echoes of that silence began to stir questions. Fear, hope, wonder. Because the age of humanity was no longer measured by its visibility. It was measured by its absence and its power beyond knowing.